We've been getting a little bit more attention recently, it seems, gentlemen, so welcome to the channel if you are new. I wanted to take this time to expand a little bit on this concept of sexual energy mastery because I've been getting questions and questions day after day. Joseph, what on earth do you mean about this esoteric concept of sexual energy and semen retention and all that bullshit? And isn't it a myth and isn't it just a placebo? Well, I thought I would take the opportunity today to shine a little bit more light on the subject. So I'm going to be exploring some of the strongest reasons why you as a man, if you're a young man, if you're an ambitious man, if you have high hopes for yourself in this world today, why you need to be doubling down on your sexual energy. So first and foremost, what is it? How do I control it? How do I master it? Now, the number one thing that allowed me to better get my head around this subject was the first law of thermodynamics. So the first law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor can it be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form into another form. So let's go through a simple analogy together. So let's say, for example, that you have food. Food is an energy source, okay? How do we acquire food? Well, in order to acquire food, we either have to buy it or we have to grow it. The next question might be, well, how on earth do I, buy food or grow food? Some of which you know the answer for. I mean, you need to exchange some kind of, monetary assets to get the food, or you need to invest a lot of time in order to grow said food and for us to then eat the food. So what I'm trying to convey here is that there is a transmutation of energy in order for us to acquire food. Food is a valuable resource. We need to exchange our money in order to get food. We need to exchange our time and the correct resources in order to get that food. Nothing exists in this world without that exchange of energies. In order for me to make this sound, tap this pen against the desk and create this the sound of energy, there has to be an exchange from the glucose in my muscles in order for me to make that sound. In order for you to hear me and see me through the screen, I have to put in a transmutation of energy, not just the glucose into my muscles, but the planning that goes into the video, into the resources, into the cameras that are helping me record this. So there's nothing in this world that exists without some kind of exchange. Another way I like to look at this is for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. I'm sure you've heard this before. So here's where I believe a lot of the problems are coming from, especially with men. They are paddling along through life in a leaky boat. They are trying to become successful, but being completely inefficient with their energy and with their resources. Take this, indulge me in this following example. Why do you turn the lights on in your house? To see, right? To see what the fuck you're doing. That is an exchange of electrical energy into light energy. However, that's not the whole story, is it? We also get a little bit of heat from that light source. So there is that's a side effect of the primary function we want from that electrical exchange of energy. We want light, but we're also getting a little bit of heat. We don't want the heat, but it's an inefficient exchange of that particular energy. Now, why do you ejaculate? What a fucking question to ask someone, eh? Now, I would hope that you would ejaculate for the purposes of having a child, bringing life to the world, starting a family, as it were. That is the primary use of that particular function. But that's not really true nowadays, is it? Many people are rarely using that particular utility. The primary use of that amongst modern men is pleasure, to derive pleasure. But the primary source of that function isn't pleasure, is it? It's to create life. Otherwise, you wouldn't release, would you? So the primary use has to be the creation of life for the facilitation of family, not just pleasure. Pleasure is a side effect. It's a pretty good side effect of doing that particular deed. So let's do things properly. So what I'm trying to describe here is an inefficient use of this energy. Let's do this all together. So let's just do this properly. So we've got electric energy. And we're transmutating that into light, but we're also getting heat. So this is the primary. We want this is number one, but number two is also heat. This is we don't really need this, but this is just a side effect. Let's say we've got sexual energy, right? Sexual energy, the main purpose is to create life. It has to be the creation of life. But we also get pleasure. So we've got number one, we want this, and we've got number two, pleasure. This is a side effect. Again, it's a good side effect, but unfortunately what is happening is these two are being replaced. In fact, most people are shooting that life energy into a sock. Or somebody would never call again. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that masturbation and hookup culture is the equivalent of turning your lamp or light on in your house because you are cold. It is not the primary use of that utility, of that equipment. You could call it equipment. It's inefficient. It is the equivalent of being in a rowboat trying to get to your destination, but you've got a massive leak in the boat. So how should we use sexual energy? We should use it intentionally. We should use it with purpose and consciousness behind it. But listen, look, I'm not so dogmatic that I do not believe an individual can have casual sex for pleasure and be morally reprehensible. Pleasure is a part of life, and it would be foolish and naive and very short-minded of me to think that there is no place for it. However, I believe in my heart that if you have big aspirations in this life, if you want a six-figure business, if you want a very top-tier, high-quality life, or even if you're on the other side of things, if you're in a really low point in your life, if you're in depression, if you're in apathy, if you're in lethargy, I do not believe promiscuity or masturbation is going to help you in the slightest. I like to think of it as junk food. Everybody likes having a pizza or a donut. I think I crushed a pizza just the other week, actually. I was on holiday in Greece. But if you're trying to improve your life and your health, then indulging in junk food frequently, of course, is not going to get you any closer to the destination that you want to go. Put it this way, in my own anecdotal experience, the most progress I've ever experienced in my life is when I have consciously been abstinent, I've been celibate, I've not been indulging in those particular vices, junk food, alcohol, drugs in general. That's where I've seen the most progress in my life. And if anything, just think of that leaky boat analogy. You'll get to your destination, sure. But if you're a slave to your vices, then it's going to take you 10 times longer, 100 times longer than if you were clear and efficient with your use of energy. But I always like to say, gentlemen, this is just a theory. Take what is valuable, discard which is not, and I'll see you again in another video. Take care.